Hi, everyone. Carter Christian and I are here for Beyond the 90. Just gotten back from St. Petersburg uh, after a long road trip back in Southeast Florida. Passed on the trip back from the Miami FC Tampa Bay Rowdies match, past Paradise Sports Complex, where FC Naples defeated Charleston last night, 1-0. A good Charleston team. It was a somewhat rotated battery team, but still, Cal Jennings started, MD Meyer started, and you saw some of their other regulars. Aaron Malloy started, some of their other regulars starting as well. So, huge win for FC Naples. I want to talk about the Jägermeister Cup and rivalries. I mentioned that last night was really a special night for me. There were so many friends, like just friends, not just people I know, but people who have been friends of mine through the years that were at the match in St. Petersburg. Rowdies fans that I had not seen in years and got to reconnect with. And it's not just, hey, how you're doing. It's like long conversations and we need to be in touch type of thing. And I realized, obviously Miami FC has been playing Tampa Bay. A lot, my friendships with a lot of the Rowdies fans goes back to my time working for NASL, my time working for the Fort Lauderdale Strikers, and my time, quite frankly, being a Fort Lauderdale Striker fan. I think it wasn't a secret, even when I was working for the league office, that I was a Strikers fan. And then, once the Strikers were gone, Miami FC became my team because, they're the other team in the area, right? And I'm not going to support an MLS team, right? I'm just not going to support an MLS team. So I had been up for, well, actually, no, I was just up for one Miami FC Tampa Bay game previously in St. Pete. And when you talk to the fans, the Rowdies fans, the rivalry with Fort Lauderdale was such a part of the Rowdies' identity. And I think it was a fundamental part of the Fort Lauderdale Strikers' identity. It was everything. And it was a 50-50 back and forth rivalry. Those matches meant more. Beating the Rowdies from Fort Lauderdale's perspective, Strikers' perspective, it meant so much more than beating someone else in the league. It just did. And our players were more intense about it. Their players were more intense about it. The games, you'd see guys flying into tackles. It was much more argy-bargy. There were more cards in those matches. Tampa Bay Miami has not taken that on, right? I mean, either they've just never been at the same level. When first played in 2016, the Rowdies were not very good, and Miami was an expansion team in NASL. 2017, the season Tampa Bay moved to USL. Miami FC was much better. They played in the Open Cup and killed them at Al Lang. The scoreline doesn't reflect how one-sided that match was. Once Miami FC joined USL, Tampa Bay was one of the 2 or 3 best teams in USL every single season. And Miami had some wins against Tampa Bay, but it was just never, like, the rivalry wasn't there. You didn't have the traveling fans, right? Fort Lauderdale, we always took at least 100 fans, at least, to Al Lang. Sometimes it was much more than that. So, and Tampa Bay always brought tons of fans to Lockhart. They still bring fans to FIU against Miami FC, but it's just, it's not the same. What I watched last night was, I felt like a birth. And so talking to the supporters, I spent about a good 20 minutes in the supporter section, a Rowdy supporter section. They talk so much still sentimentally about the Fort Lauderdale rivalry. And it was a special night, 50th anniversary night. That was part of the reason I made it a point to be there. But then I felt like last night, the second half, the way Miami FC came back and clawed back, and it was also about the fact that this is a team where, like, Miami FC is viewed as a little brother, just this little minor annoyance in the state, this fly you swat away. Because the Rowdies have been here and Miami FC's been here. And that was never the relationship between Tampa Bay and Fort Lauderdale. It was always, maybe Tampa Bay was a little bit ahead, Fort Lauderdale was a little bit, but it was like this. Rowdies, Miami FC. Well, Miami FC was here. Rowdies were here in 2017. By the time Miami FC joins USL, it's like this, and it stayed that way. So now we're beginning to see this happen. and we're getting a rivalry. We got some argy-bargy between the fans. That's always part of it, banter. And then, although, look, I think it's still tough for the Rowdies fans to hate Miami FC. But last night might have started it. Bill Hamid's heroics, the way Mikey Alexander, who's a local South Florida guy, reacted to the Rowdy supporters section. The way Miami FC celebrated wasn't like winning a random match. And it was, after the match, it was about beating the Rowdies. Although I will point out, because I'm a stickler for this, that it was a draw. That's the hill I will always die on. These are, Tampa Bay did not beat Naples. That was a draw. Miami did not beat Tampa Bay. That was a draw. Penalty kicks means, in the case of the Open Cup, a club advances. In the case of the Jägermeister Cup, they get credit for an extra point in the table. But still, maybe the birth of a rivalry. I think this very well could be it. These teams play again in June in USL Championship play. And this is the first time in a long time Miami is above Tampa Bay in the table. Probably the first time since joining USL this late in the season Miami's been ahead of Tampa Bay in the table. That's hard to believe. Although actually maybe in 23 for a few weeks. The Rowdies didn't start so well under Robbie Nielsen, but then they took off, right? And they were just an unlucky bounce away from winning the Players' Shield that year. Miami FC missed the playoffs. So this is the first time we think Miami FC might actually finish the season on equal footing with Tampa Bay. So the birth of a rivalry.